Hey guys, it's Karl. We are right in the middle of Techtober and there's probably not a worse time to get a better camera because all I want to do is fiddle around with it, test out all the settings, but that is the life. We have the brand new Sony A7 Mark IV. Sony was nice to send it out, and the only difference is essentially the retail box. So if you were to grab this, it would come in a box probably like this, and instead of this saying A7S Mark III, it'll just say the A7 Mark IV or IV, VI. I'm not too good with my Roman numerals, but this is kind of the successor to the most popular selling mirrorless full frame camera, the A7 Mark III, which I knew everyone went crazy about. Let's quickly take this out and see what we've got. Of course, none of the user manual's warranty info, which I actually don't mind. Camera battery charger, battery strap. It is IV. USB-C to USB and a charging cable, of course, that out of the way. And here is the camera. And right off the bat, it has a very similar feel to the A7S III if you've used the A7R Mark IV. And that means it's just a little bit chunkier, and you can kind of see they've taken a lot of the design cues from, say, the recording button, so that's now dedicated to the C1 slot. You've still got all your nice little knobs, and you can switch that between, say, video and photo mode. And they haven't really sacrificed too much to keep the price down because this does come in cheaper than the A7S III. This is what's so attractive about this. Of course, it's not as cheap as the A7C, which I also have, but for a full frame camera, the A7 III, which is now, of course, upgrading to the A7 Mark IV. This is the one that everyone wants to grab. It's essentially the perfect combo if you need to shoot both photo and video. If you don't need low light, which this can still do, but perhaps not as good as the A7S III, this is probably your best all-rounder bang for your buck camera. So inside they have upgraded the sensor. It's still, of course, full frame. 33 megapixels, 15 stops of dynamic range, 759 autofocus points, that's 94% coverage. Eye autofocus for both human and animals, so if you like to take bird photography or if you want to take trusty photos of your pet, this can track that. The video mode, which I'm kind of more interested in, so it can do 4K 60, but you are in Super 35 mode. It can do 4K at 30p with 7K oversampling. The biggest thing attracting me to this is it has S-Cinetone, so that's the color profile which I'm shooting in right now on my A7S IIIs, which is also available on their more expensive cinema cameras, so this could be a great B camera or C camera if you want to match color profiles across those different cameras. And in all honesty, this would be my go-to camera and my recommended one for the best mirrorless cam, full frame of course, for 2021 and 2022. As this is available in December, you'll probably get your unit sometime in January. It also has that articulating screen that now Sony is implementing across their entire range. It's really hard to beat the value on what you're getting for this. And I know I can blab about this camera all day, but there are more technical people that can get into that nitty-gritty stuff. So I'll leave, of course, sample photos. And if you want to keep watching, we'll kind of switch this into an unboxing haul episode. I'm going to switch my B camera with the A7 Mark IV. So if you want to keep watching, you can see what the video quality is like. And of course, we can continue to check out tech in Techtober. So one of the first things that did come out this month was the new Nintendo Switch OLED, and I know that there are a ton on pre-order still. People are trying to pick them up, but if you are a Nintendo fan, we finally have a refreshed console design. Internally, there hasn't been too many changes, so they still run the same games, but of course, we are now getting a better screen, hence that OLED name. You can see, of course, the white, which I think will be a fan favorite, but I've just got the little D-brand skin over top. We've got the unit itself, and it does come with a new charging stand. And of course, your HDMI cables, all that good stuff. But I will leave that in the box. All the main stuff, I guess, is kind of in front of me. So it still has the same Joy-Con controllers. Boom. Attach that here, that slides in, and that slots in. So I just grabbed my old Switch, and you can kind of see the first difference is the stand on the back. So on the previous or the original Switch, it just had this little dinky stand, which tended to snap off if you gripped it the wrong way. Thankfully, the new Switch stand kind of spans across the entire console, so that's the first thing. The next big change, where it kind of got its name from, is the display. So it's a lot more up to date with 2021 standards. It's a 7-inch OLED panel, so you can see much thinner bezels, and you get all of the benefits of OLED panels, so deeper blacks, better contrast ratios, just overall a better viewing experience. That's one of the things that I didn't really like about the OG Switch. The LCD screen isn't that that good. It's kind of made out of plastic, and I would recommend, if you do game a lot with your Switch, just grab a screen protector to kind of prevent any scratching. Nintendo says you should not remove the pre-built-in screen protector, but you can always put something over top. So once again, this entire Switch is debranded up. I will leave their links down below, and that's kind of been the overall theme with the OLED Switch. If you use this console a lot on the go, if you actually use this display to play games on, it's worth the upgrade. It's a pricier unit, so it comes in at $350. That's of course US. If you're here in Canada, our dollar sucks, so it's closer to 500 with tax, unfortunately. The speakers are better. I feel like it's got better haptics, so if you're using the Switch mainly to game mobily, then yeah, I think it's worth the upgrade. But if you use your Switch on a TV, if you have it plugged in all the time into its dock, you're on, say, a monitor, then you don't really see any of the benefits of the OLED panels. So that's kind of the question you have to answer. Do you rock your Switch, or do you take your Switch a lot and play games outside of your house? Then the Switch OLED makes a lot of sense, but if not, you've still got the OG Switch, which you can buy, and of course the Switch Lite. I will say Metroid Dread has been a lot of fun. I haven't played a Metroid game since I've been a kid, so always nice to relive some of those memories, and that's been the OLED Switch. We are gonna keep on the OLED train. The next big thing that came in was the LG Ultrafine Display OLED Pro. We'll do some quick movie magic because this is obviously too big. So you can see this monitor, it's truly kind of gorgeous. 32 inches, I've got it hooked up right now to a Samsung Galaxy Book Go. This is a cinema grade level monitor, so studios like Sony, Pixar use these to color grade. So like I mentioned, 32 inches, 3840 by 2160. It covers 99% of the DCI-P3 color space. It's got 10-bit color, and typically when you look at studio grade monitors, those go over that $15,000, $20,000 mark. They're typically bulkier, they're not as sleek looking, and I won't recommend this to every single person out there. If you want to game on it, it's kind of useless. It's kind of stuck to 60 hertz. You know, this is definitely one of the products that warrants that Pro name. So if you are into high-end video, high-end photo, you need to have really accurate color. I think this is one of the only options, and it kind of competes against, say, the Pro Display XDR, and in many regards, it's better if you're a true professional. Perhaps it doesn't have the fancy honeycomb back, or it's not made out of aluminum, but it's of course cheaper than that as well. This will actually be the main display that I use once my new MacBook Pro comes into the studio. I know those were just kind of announced / released. If you are in the space for something a bit more higher end, and once again, really rely a lot on an accurate monitor for a lot of video stuff, which is kind of what I do day in, day out, solid option. The next thing that came into the studio, just as handy as a monitor, especially during Techtober where this place becomes an absolute tornado, is the Roborock H7. So big shout outs to Roborock for sponsoring today's episode. This all-in-one vacuum has kind of been my go-to to keep the studio somewhat in decent shape and somewhat clean. Setup of the device is super easy, and you can kind of see how clean and minimal the design is. It does come with a bunch of different articulating heads that you can swap out depending on what you're cleaning. It's light enough that I can hold it comfortably in one hand, so it's got a nice lightweight design. And typically when I use this, when I'm on, say, a product call, when I don't have to talk, I'm kind of zooming around the studio, picking up all of Link's muddy footprints because it's getting a bit wetter now. It's got its own little garbage tray, which comes out nice and easy with its little quick release, so you can always empty that out when you need to. You know, still on the OLED train, it's got its own little display where you can kind of track the battery life, which is actually pretty decent. So you get around 90 minutes per charge. These are kind of the vacuums once you've made that upgrade to, it's hard to go back to the traditional style shop vac. Anything with a cable is just really big and clunky. This actually reminds me a lot of a Dyson, but kind of half the price. For my testing here in the studio, it performs just as well. So yeah, I think this is a solid option. Once again, a nice little piece of home tech, and could make a potential cool gift this holiday season. Mom and Dad, you know what you're getting. This is kind of going your way. I know you'll use this a lot at home. And the last items on today's episode, solely I just haven't had the time to check these out yet. That's the sad reality in Techtober, the X70 Pro Plus and the X70 Pro from Vivo. Both of them, of course, smartphones. And if you are still tuned into this episode, I know some of you may have turned it off after the A7 Mark IV part. giveaway time if yeah, you guys are interested in any of these items. I obviously can't give away the A7 Mark IV because that is just a tester unit, but everything else, if you want to win, I'll hook you guys up. So just leave a comment down below. Be sure to sub to the channel. And yeah, this is just my way of thanking you all for putting up with my face during this hectic month. We will quickly take a look at these before we end this video. You know, this being very similar to the X60 from last year, Vivo devices have been really good. They have really good cameras. They've partnered with Zeiss. They're one of the first phones to have the T-Star coating, which helps dramatically with glare. I'm more kind of pumped about the X70 Pro, to be honest. I've kind of seen some things online. You can see photography refined, and that's kind of the theme of Vivo devices. Pop this out, and you can kind of see that huge camera on the back. I think this is a viewing area for maybe selfies. It's an interesting little chrome reflective piece. And funnily enough, we started off with a Sony camera. This has Sony sensors, and Sony actually partners all the time with Zeiss. I have so many Zeiss lenses for my Sony line. But yeah, that kind of concludes this hybrid episode. I know that we initially checked out the Sony, which is right now recording all of the secondary B-roll. So let me know if you guys are interested in winning one of the giveaway items. I hope you guys enjoyed the first look at the Sony A7 Mark IV. You got a bit of a bonus unboxing haul episode at the end. And yeah, I'll catch the rest of you in one of my next episodes. Peace.